One thing that actually many job seekers do, especially if they're later in the process or have had some frustrations, is they may fib or actually lie on their job application or on their resume, other things, and make stuff up. And obviously, I'm not going to endorse that as a hiring manager. That's awful. And understand that your job application is a legal document, so, understand that you're signing to that, and they can terminate you for that. So just be understanding that you want to be honest on that. Now, that doesn't mean you're giving information that's not required on the application. It doesn't mean you need to go intentionally shoot yourself in the foot, as they would say, or, make yourself a worse candidate and start saying things like, oh, this happened, or I was fired from this job 3 years ago because of, whatever, or I had this thing, there's a political, you're not going to talk about that, but you do want to be honest on there. And you think about it, here's a nice little quote here, that if you tell the truth, it becomes part of your past. It's who you are, really. But if you lie, it becomes a part of your future. And that's so true, especially if you're, especially in interviews too, and you're talking to different companies and maybe you're telling them different things and you're, that, right? You're trying to keep track of the different untruths that you've told to be at the real extreme, or just maybe something, that's a little white lie or whatever it might be. Just be very truthful and honest. This is the best thing I can do, because you could go through a great process with a company and then all of a sudden find out that something early in the process really tripped you up. Particularly, understand that companies do background checks. They do reference checks. And so if something comes up there, they're just you're gonna get a disappointing phone call or, probably email saying, based on your background check, we decided not to go further. And then you're like, gosh, what happened? Probably might be related to that. So this is some obvious stuff here, to be aware, but many people do lie on their applications. Here's a quote from Mark Twain, famous author. He says, always tell the truth. That way you don't have to remember what you said. How well said that is, to tell the truth so you don't have to remember it. And actually, the bigger problem is people being too humble, actually, especially on things like resumes or when they're interviewing, and they don't share those results, those measurable results. They don't share their successes, or they don't speak on it because they're kind of shy about it, or they're humble about that. And humbleness is a great trait. It really is in people. However, when you're going through a job search part, they don't know you, and they only have a little bit of time to know you. So you got to give them all the information so the job interviewer can make a decision. And they can't make a good decision without getting all the information about you, particularly your successes. So on that part, you're not lying, but don't be too humble. Don't go the opposite way either. So it's kind of that nice balance. So honesty is always the best policy, as they say.